you call it podcast?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I don't know why I tried to hold that in. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is a professional wrestler. He's the Music City Messiah, Kayden Greene. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
Good. I'm rocking, man. Living the dream.
Good to hear, mate. Thank you for coming on. I'm glad that we got this organised. Before I start talking about the show, by the way, there's something that I want to bring up. I think you're going to like this, and the listeners will as well. I saw you have a match. It was against Ricky Roberts, and somehow you're not doing a Macho Man impression. I'm going to ask, it popped me. I can actually do one myself quite well. But I want to know what inspired you to do that, and are you a big Macho Man fan?
Yeah, I used to love Macho as a kid. Like he was definitely like in my top 3 when I was little. But when we were cutting the promo for it, so like it's gonna be like layers of going back. But so the promotion is connected to Jay Lethal. Wow. Yeah, so like he trains most of the students that work for that promotion. So I do like a demonic possession kind of character, like a lot of like dark arts type stuff. And the promo for it was that Jay sent me like a package that he needed me to take care of. And when I opened the package, it's a possessed pair of Macho Man glasses. So like I'm cutting this promo and it's like almost like it's almost like an unboxing video, but I'm using it as a promo. And I'm like, all right. And Jay said, get rid of these glasses, maybe like put a spell on them to fix it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever. And I like throw this note away and I put it on. And then the thing cuts to like bright colors. And I go full Macho Man in this promo. And it's just so dumb. And I take the glasses off and I'm like, oh, what the hell was that? All right. Anyway, the show's Saturday at blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I was like, well, we should try to incorporate that. Nobody cares about your promos before your matches. Like nobody watches it. But the promotion that we were working for, takes the video and pops the promos before the video for Fight TV. Yeah. So I knew it was going to be there. So I didn't have to like worry about maybe the fans won't get it or whatever, because they'll get it if they're watching the Fight TV. So yeah, then I was like, here's the idea for this goofy spot. I'm like, because Rick comes out with the boas like Hogan. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna put on the glasses like Mach, and we'll do like a Mega Powers stupid bit. Like, yeah. So well, the promoter goes, I want you guys to do a comedy match. And I'm like, was there really another option at this point? Like Rick, for people who don't know, Rick is like, he gimmicks at like 666 pounds. I think he's like 450. I'm just guessing, really bad at weights. But he's a very big dude. I'm 205-ish. So it wasn't going to be a technical masterpiece by any means. So I was like, we're gonna have this goofy ass match. I'm like, maybe in the middle we'll do the Mega Powers bit or whatever. There was like a hand sanitizer bit because it was like right at the like, I don't want to say end of COVID, but like when people were just,
but when there were still restrictions.
Yeah, there's like the end of the restriction period. So like, I was like, well, we'll still goof on that and like play around because it's still relevant, I guess. I don't know, but it's Florida. You know, nobody followed any of the rules here. It's like if we all turn into zombies, they'll just saw off the top of Florida and let it float into the ocean. Like it was gonna be fine.
Sounds like an episode of The Walking Dead there, mate. But the Macho Man spot made me laugh, man. I mean, like, I wouldn't forgive myself, and I think the listeners would badger me if I don't get you to do an impression, but something that you wouldn't do necessarily. I don't know, just something top of your head, something you've not done before, but in Macho voice, something quite funny. If you can, just give me a taste of the Macho Man.
Of the Macho Man, I haven't done this in a little bit. I almost want the glasses because they haven't get into the character. Oh yeah, so there I was at the movies and was trying to watch Shrek 3. Yeah, okay. And who gets in front of me? Shaquille O'Neal. Goddamn, Shaquille O'Neal blocking the film. Oh yeah.
Why do I have
know.
a feeling that actually happened? Did Shaquille O'Neal ruin Shrek 3
It's
for
the
you?
dumb, it's this dumb TikTok thing that I did a while ago. I was like talking about it was Zoe Deschanel has a TikTok. I don't know, I'm like whatever, and I jumped on it, and she's doing this one where like she's in an elevator just ignoring you, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, hey, how you doing? And I get on, I'm like, I gotta tell you the story, dude. Like, so I was at the movies, and guess who gets in front of me? Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal sits right in front of me, and I'm trying to watch this movie, and she's like, oh, that's great. Okay, bye. And like, so it's like this stupid duet thing that I did that was on TikTok, and I was like, all right, that's funny. Just the idea of going to the movies and Shaquille O'Neal sitting
I
in
love it,
front
man.
of you. I don't know.
That's quality, man. Thank you for doing the impression. Yeah. The
Yeah,
music,
again.
the Music City Messiah. Yeah. I'm not going to do this all hour. I think some of the listeners like that. It's funny for a bit, and then I'm one of those people that just milk it till it's dead. But no, thank you for giving me the story and the insight. But no, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that's actually Jay Lethal's school and promotion that he ran there. How was Jay Lethal, by the way? I will talk about your wrestling career as well, but just whilst we're on the subject.
I love Jay. I always joke around that Jay thinks doesn't ever remember who I am. He calls me James's buddy. Like my friend James trained at his school, and he's like, hey James, your buddy's here. So I was like, maybe I can get an AEW tryout under the name James Buddy. And then Jay will be like, oh yeah, James Buddy, yeah, throw him on. Good guy.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm going to rewind the clocks, and I want to take it back to the beginning, and I want to know, what was your first wrestling related memory?
So I was like 10, I think, when the Monday Night Wars were starting. When Raw first came on the air, I was 10 years old.
Mhm.
And my grandfather was a diehard wrestling fan. Like, I think when I was 7 or 8, he took me to Florida, or Championship Wrestling from Florida, to see Dusty, because he was a huge Dusty mark, but I don't remember it.
Oh
like,
man,
at
Dusty's
all.
prime as well. That would have been
Yeah.
awesome if you remember that.
Yeah, I wish. Like, but my grandfather loved Dusty. He loved like all that like Championship Wrestling from Florida, like that whole bit. But when Monday Night Raw came on, I was like coherent enough. I mean, it's 7, you probably are coherent, but like I just don't have any memories of it. But I remember when Raw like started and Raw was premiering and WCW was premiering, I would go to my grandfather's house and I would sit next to him and I would watch it. Like, my brothers wanted nothing to do with wrestling. I have two older brothers, and neither of them cared about it. They wanted to play video games or whatever else. And I'm just sitting there like absorbed in this thing that my grandfather loves. And I don't know if I loved it at that point. I just thought it was cool because my grandfather thought it was cool. So
that's
like,
quite rare that you said that, by the way. Like, I mean, at the time, the actual era, everyone was hooked, and the fact that your brothers weren't basically using you as a stunt dummy to do all the moves on, that's
it took a little time, but then they all got in on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Give them some time. It took us a little while. Like high school, I think, is when I have a twin brother, and he was like obsessed with wrestling and backyard wrestling. And then my older brother didn't care for it. He was like a computer guy, and he was like in the robotics camp and all that stuff. But my twin brother and I would just like go around in our backyard, like trying to body slam each other. I'm amazed neither of us like broke a neck or an arm. But yeah, goofy stuff, jumping off the roof, pretending to be Jeff Hardy, like all the dumb stuff. But that was like 14, 15 years old,
Guilty.
Right? Like, we are the reason that don't try this at home is a thing.
Totally worth those breaking bones and the trips to
totally. But then like the high school is when I think I really started loving wrestling, because like, not to overdate myself, but like it was like when Austin 316 was like the hot thing, and in The Rock, and everyone was walking around doing the people's eyebrow, and we all got written up for doing the DX chop and stuff. Like, yeah, that was when I was like, oh, maybe I love this thing. Like, maybe this is cool.
Yeah.
Because that led me into doing wrestling in high school, like the regular wrestling, and thinking it was going to be like pro wrestling. Like, they had like a sign up sheet, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. So I sign up, and I walk into to day one, and I'm like, I already got a persona in my mind, and I know like to cut a promo. Like I was so ready for this, and it's just a bunch of mats and a bunch of sweaty dudes in gym shorts, and I'm like, is this the pro wrestling and the
where did this one bomb? Come on, guys.
Yeah, I'm just, what do I jump off of? So yeah, no, that was yeah, it all like kind of followed through and led into being like a pretty big part of my life.
How long did you last in the Olympic wrestling, as they say?
All 4 years. I went.
Nice. You actually continued it.
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, screw it. They're like, no, you wanna learn this. This is the basics that the pros use.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it? I mean, yeah, it is. But like at that point, I was like, come on, man. Only Kurt Angle does this dumb shit. Oh, sorry. Bleep.
Oh, you can swear. Bleep. Absolutely fine. You can swear on this show. Okay. Just the only one you avoid CUNT. That's it.
Oh, that's yeah. We don't use that around here.
Yeah.
But we only use that like
YouTube doesn't like that one, unfortunately. But
that's fair.
If someone is a proper one, then yeah, I can understand. It's been said once or twice.
Like I feel like I've only ever really used that word like with all the hate in my heart. Like when you're talking about like somebody who comes into like a restaurant and leaves like the world's worst tip, or like somebody who like messes with the cashier at the thing, you know, you're like, oh my God, I got to tell you about this lady. Like the lady at 12.
I've noticed when Americans use it, it's when you're proper angry. Like in the UK, we gotta use it like just for the sake of it. Like we can use it in a good or a bad way. So it's just like a slip of the tongue. But I know it's when like if an American use it in the film, oh my God.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know what the connection is that makes it like it's like a common word. The way that like we use MFer, like I know you guys, because I watch like a lot of like British TV, or not British TV, but like a lot of shows that have British and UK like characters. Plus I love UK wrestling and like Brit Rest and all that stuff. But it's wild like that's so common to use that word there, and then here it's just like, oh no, that's the end all be all. That is like, that's the you don't do that one. That's so funny.
It's like the dramatic effect, but just to sidetrack a little bit, because I'm obviously in the UK. What is it about Brit Rest, like the UK scene, that you do really like?
So I really got in when Marty Scurll was like super hot. I know he's like on a
as a talent, no, he was
so good, and he got me into Will Ospreay, and trying to think, like Mark Andrews before NXT UK, Gunn before UK, like all of those dudes I was like watching on like Progress, I think.
Progress,
and
like
Riptide and like stuff like that, because it's on YouTube, and that's like at that point is the only way you could watch it. And I was like, dude, this is so good. Like these guys just get a different type of wrestling. Like I feel like there's more storytelling, there's more working like body parts, there's more like things that make sense, body mechanics, stuff like that. And I feel like you don't get so much of that in America, especially in American Indies. American Indies is so like go, 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 bump, 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 pop, pop, flip, flop, boop, bop, boop. And it's like 68 moves to get to like an arm drag. And it's like, I get we love
the difference is there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like we love everything. We love lucha wrestling. We love this and that, right? So it's like that's the weird like thing where America just tries to melting pot the crap out of pro wrestling to the point where it's like, but you just power bomb that guy through a table. Why are you like why did he kip up from a power bomb through a table and you guys just ran like a 7-minute spot? Like you know, like I don't know. I like working parts. That's like the finger snaps that Marty did.
I know you do them, don't you, as well?
Yeah, I do the crap out of those.
There's a secret to it. Actually, no, don't tell me. I like a magician. I know you like magicians with filled with secrets, and it ruins it. Don't ruin it for me. Anytime I see it, oh my God, it's so cool. And I know there's a technique to it.
Yeah, it's I won't tell you the technique, but I realized that I can't do it when in camp because I wear cotton t-shirts in camp. So that's like the one buffer that won't let you do it. But I also learned,
so that's a little bit of a giveaway then. But okay, I'm gonna use my imagination to how it's done, because it's bugged me for years.
Yeah, it's so rad. I'll tell you when we're not recording, so that way you don't give it away to everybody. But I also learned single finger snaps, which is like ideally it's supposed to look like you've dislocated just a single joint on a finger. And that one I learned from this dude Kerry Awful, who used to be in a tag team called the Carnies, and he runs a promotion called Crux Wrestling in Tennessee. We were working somewhere and I don't remember what it was, but he like pulled it on me and he did this single finger snap, and it took me like a month of just hurting myself to try to figure it out. And I'm like, no, there's got to be a way that isn't gonna blah blah. And I'm like, oh no, it couldn't have popped my knuckle. I didn't feel it. And I'm like literally ignorant trying to figure this out. And I text him and I go, all right, how do you do that single finger snap? And he goes, it's so dumb, it's this. And I go,
put my finger back together now.
Yeah, like, I'll just get to unwrap my finger from all the like bruises and bends. Yeah, no, I love it though.
That's wicked, man. I'm glad that I actually got to have a conversation about the finger pop, because it's such an underrated spot. And I think my first reaction was, and obviously we can't be not talking about miss a person, but the talent was seeing that, and I was just like,
yeah,
like that was my initial reaction. But no, that's cool, man. When is it that you wanted to become? When did you decide in your life that you want to become a professional wrestler? Was there a moment that inspired you to basically take that step forward?
Yeah, so I used to go to the FCW like live shows. They used to do these shows at this like kind of sketchy bar in this place called Newport Richie. So it was when it was WWE's developmental, and it was like dudes like Wade Barrett, Sheamus, Alicia Fox, Heath Slater, like all these people that were like eventually went and became like champions and whatever else. All of them were in the developmental at the time. And one of the people that was in the developmental was Sin Bodhi, who is like an uncle to me in this business.
Kazarni?
Yeah, Kazarni.
Yeah.
So I kept going to these shows with my friend Phil. And eventually I was like, you know, I could do this. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I could totally do this. And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I wonder who I talked to. And I just walked up to Kazarni, walked up to Sin, because we're kind of similar people, like, you know, like we're both like this dark culture. Like I've always been like this gothic, goofy, dark, whatever. Like it's not really, it's a character, but it's not a character, right? So I walk up to him like, hey man, you were just so good and so different. I love what you do. And he's like, thanks, man. I'm like, I want to do this. And he goes, yeah, just go to the camp. And I go, do what? Like I thought this was like a secret society where you have to be like, you know,
take your handshakes, like
yeah. So I was expecting this wild, weird world, and he goes, yeah, man, just go to the camp. Just go to fcwwrestling.com or whatever it was at the time. And he's like, you just pay up and they'll train you. And I was like, that's it? And he's like, yeah, man, totally. All right, cool. So I show up to this class, and everyone in this class is jacked. Like there's probably 12 people in this class, other than me and one dude who is smaller than me. And I'm like $145 at this point. I'm not a tiny dude. I've always been like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
But like I was a pole. And all these dudes are just shredded to the gills, jacked, like muscles on top of muscles. And I'm coming into this class trying to learn, looking like a pole, like what's her face? Olive Oil from Popeye. And it's me and it's this dude Rod, and Rod is like 5'5" or something like that, from New York or New Jersey or somewhere up there. And he's like, yeah, man, I think I can really do this. And my thought is like, this guy will never see a WWE contract. I'm like trying to be that guy, but I will. It's all about me. I'm gonna make this happen. Whatever. I'm the smallest guy. I'm getting beaten up every day. I'm leaving camp like blown out, like throwing up when I get back to my car, like just completely like the smallest dude. This dude who was one of the wrestlers at the time, he went by Tookie Tucker, the wrestling trucker, and he was
best name ever,
right? And his gimmick was exactly what it is. It's like a pro wrestling trucker. And he was with developmental at the time, and he goes, all right, here, man, here's what you got to do. And gives me like, lays out a plan of what I need to be eating for whatever, and like the protein. And it was totally wrong. Just across the board. He was like, all right, well, you want to be at what, 200 pounds? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you need 500 grams of protein a day. And I was like, that's inconceivable. That is impossible for a person to intake that much. He's like, trust me, You do that, you'll get up to 165 in the next like 6 months. I'm like, I will also die. So whatever. I ate like it was my last meal every time, just stacked up so much food.
It's literally like real life supersize me.
Yeah, exactly. And so I ended up, I think before camp was over, I went from like 140 to like 165. And then the last 13 years of wrestling, I kind of slowly built myself up to about 205. But that little guy who I was like, is never going to do anything. We get to the end of camp and we have, instead of having like matches, well, we have matches in front of our family, but also a bunch of the developmental guys are there. So like, if you're worried that you're going to like mess up in front of your mom, like that's one thing, or like your girlfriend or something. But like Wade Barrett is sitting at the table with Joe Henning and they're like just totally shredding you, like ripping you to shreds. And that
is pressure.
Oh my God. It was awful. It was probably the worst match I've ever had. Obviously you can only go up from there, but the dude who was in the dude who I said wasn't going to do anything ended up getting signed right out of camp as a referee, and he refs for WWE still. He's that short guy with like he's pretty muscular, but he's short, and people call him Spider, but his name's Rod Zapata, something like that.
I think because they don't actually name the refs anymore, I can't put a name to it at the moment.
Yeah.
But if I Google it, I'm sure it'll definitely come up once I've recorded this. How long did the camp last for, by the way?
It was 3 months. I think it ended up being 4 because they had to like take 2 weeks off because of painting or something. So they like had us come back, and it was like 4 months in total, I think, of training. And we left, like, I didn't miss a single class. And what was really cool is that they said you can always come in during your days off, and like you can't train with the developmental, but you can watch and like absorb it. And I loved doing that. So I was like, I worked at a restaurant at the time, so I always had like Tuesdays off or something. So I just drive up and I hang out. One of the times, Dusty was doing promo class, and I'm just sitting there in awe the whole time, and my brain is exploding. Fireworks are going off in my head. This is the coolest thing in the world, and I absorbed nothing from it because I was like fanboying out,
being an absolute, yeah. I don't blame you.
Right? Like, what would you do in that situation? It's the coolest thing ever. I'm like
I pretty cry, to be honest.
Yeah. So he was super nice, and I got to meet him just that one time, and whatnot. But that camp was an experience, to say the least, because it was a WWE tryout. They just didn't tell you that. Like, at the end of this is a WWE tryout, and like I think all those jacked muscle dudes knew it, and maybe being like the 2 or 3 other people didn't. So it was something, to say the least, but it was cool. I left. I feel like I didn't learn enough when I was there. So a few years later, I did more training with Brian Knobbs from the Nasty Boys.
Oh man, what was that like? Like, I don't know. Obviously, we know. Obviously, if you're a fan, old school fan, you know the Nasty Boys, and you know what their reputation is like.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine. I don't know. I want to hear from you, man. I'm anticipating it, but I want to hear, man. This will be interesting.
So it was super up and down. Like some days, like because the Nasties were in TNA at the time, like that short run when like Hogan was in TNA. Right. So like it was a very odd time. Like, but what was cool about that is that Knobs was always drunk or hungover. So he would just have dudes from TNA show up, and they would like help train us. And one day Flair showed up and was like training kids. That's the one day I was sick, of course. But I was like, how was camp yesterday? Sorry, guys, I had the flu bug. They're like, oh, yeah, no big deal. Ric Flair came in
just
and
Flair,
us around, right?
16
like,
time, you know.
Yeah, like no big deal. But like a lot of the dudes, like Rob Terry would show up all the time and help train, and like a bunch of dudes from TNA at the time would show up and help.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. And then when Knobs wasn't like drunk or hungover, not shitting on him, you know, to each their own.
There's no shock to his story. If you know what he's like, you read up on it.
Exactly. He was like, all right, guys, let's work on promos. Go stand over there and cut a promo. And he's like, what's your character? And I'm like, oh, I've been doing this punk rock kid gimmick for a while. And he goes, that's shit. I'm like, oh, He's like, what else do you have? And I go, I got this lucha mask in my bag, and I like jokingly do this like a Italian like luchador gimmick, and he's like, do that for me. And it's just this goofy off the wall, like it sounded more like Borat than anything. So yeah, you should do that, that's going to get you money. And I'm like, okay, no, I know, it literally
I bet you thought yourself, are you still drunk?
Do what?
I bet you thought to yourself, are you still drunk at the moment?
Yeah, no, I had to have. Yeah, I was like, okay, all right. So I cut this promo. I was like, that's so much better. So much better. Okay.
Yeah.
But like it was weird. It was either promo day or learn to take like a weapon to the face day, which was also something, I guess. But it was an experience. I got to learn from a bunch of dudes that I like grew up watching. And during that point, or during that time, like this is obviously pre Hogan getting in trouble for all the Hoganisms. But he was shooting a documentary for History Channel, I think, at the time. And they were like, hey guys, come up to camp so we can bump you around, and it'll look like Hulk's here to help train everybody and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. And I ended up getting there late because of some life situations, but I'm in this documentary for like, I don't know, 15 seconds, taking a photo. Like everyone's wearing Nasty Boy school shirts, and I'm the last one, and I'm late, and they didn't have one for me, so I'm wearing like a Paramore t-shirt.
But nothing wrong with Paramore. I've seen them live.
Yeah, no, I love Paramore.
Just find out there.
But yeah, so that was super fun. He was there to do that and like talk to us and like, you know, give us like tips and all this other stuff. So that was cool. Like it was like a wealth of knowledge that came from it. But I feel like I learned a lot about the business in that part of training. I don't think I learned a lot about wrestling at that point in training. So like, I've been one of these people who, like, I love learning wrestling. I love learning more and more about wrestling, like move wise, psychology wise, stuff like that. So that's why I go like to Jay's school and work out. Sometimes I work with some of the students. Sometimes I work when Jay's there, or like Chris Silvio from NWA. He's a friend of mine. I did a couple like runs with him a few years back just to like absorb all the knowledge and work in a couple different states. And like any chance I have to like absorb wrestling knowledge, I'm going to take it because I'm going to use it when I can. Right.
You seem to proper embrace it though. Like all these different learning experiences that you've had, whether they're good or bad or hungover or whatever, but you seem to still absorb it and look back with it fondly. And I like to hear. That's why I'm generally like enjoying this conversation. Yeah,
I mean, I love the stories that I've gained from everything. And I love what that is about wrestling is like, it's so many cool stories that I'm going to be able to tell people like 30 years from now. Like whenever I'm done wrestling, I can be like, people will be like, how many states did you end up wrestling in? And hopefully I can be like 40 of the 50 or something insane like that. And like tell people about these cool stories. Like I love being out on the road. I love hanging out with other wrestlers. Like this weekend, I'm going from Central Florida to North Georgia to wrestle for a company called IWA, Intense Wrestling Entertainment ? But they're out of Augusta, and it's a really, really cool company that like Anthony Henry is working there, Lindsay Snow, the Ugly Ducklings, quite a few like big names at least in the South area, and some people who've been like on TV and whatnot. Alan Angels from
Dark Order.
From Dark Order is going to be there. So it's a super cool show, and I'm going up with a dude named Wolf Taylor, who I've been friends with for probably 4 years now in the business. My current tag partner, Alex Todd, is going to be there with me. And then Beastly, I think, might be coming with us. So it'll be a fun adventure. It's like a bunch of dudes from Fest Wrestling pulling up in South Georgia to have a good time.
That'll be a good weekend, man.
Yeah, so it's always fun, especially because I get to listen to these people, like what they've done and what they're doing, and like I want to absorb all of it because I love it.
No, I love that, man. Just a few things I want to touch on, then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening for me. Get the times all right. Dakota, your tag team. Just want to touch on that quickly. I want to know, what does Dakota represent? What is it about that makes you a unique tag team?
So Dakota's been we consider ourselves a demon sex cult. in like the weirdest way. Like I use black magic in my matches. I have like a possessed demon rag that's like, story is that it's been handed down generationally, and it was unburnable in the Salem witch trial. So I call it the demon cloth of Iran. And I use it to possess people in the middle of matches, which is just, it's this beautiful break from the wrestling where someone can like end up walking around like a duck, or like turn on their tag partner like a monster or something. It's always some goofy fun thing. It's like my equivalent of a dick flip. Like it's that break in the story that does enough to like get people involved that may not be there for wrestling or may be new to wrestling. So I do that. Like we've wrestled for Fest Wrestling. We've been tag team champs for Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling and a couple other Florida-based companies. Did some stuff in New York for Mania a few years back. We were supposed to work for Blackcraft on the haunted show on the on Blackcraft Wrestling. No Apologies, when everything went wrong. We were supposed to be in the tag team like gauntlet match, and then it all got pushed around different ways.
Maybe it's a blessing then, to be fair, if everything else went wrong.
If you haven't seen there's a documentary on Blackcraft Wrestling, the rise and fall of Blackcraft Wrestling.
I have seen it on YouTube, but I haven't come across, got to watch it yet.
Give it an hour of your time. It's something special. Like the documentary is really cool. Just the whole like adventure is just wild.
I'm gonna have to look out for the Hogan documentary because I can't remember watching it, but I just want to watch it just for your spot now.
Yeah,
just to see in the Paramore t-shirt.
I might have a photo from me being in there, and I'll send it to you. It's like they were taking a group photo, and that was in the video.
That's the boys, Paramore.
Yeah, it's so funny. What was I saying?
The Coda. Just attack. What you represent. That was it.
Yeah. Okay. So the coda is the end of a poem or the end of a song. It's like that's the term for like the taking it home, the end. So it kind of fits because I'm from Music City, Tennessee, Nashville area. That's what like I call home. So I've always been the Music City Messiah or the Savior from 615. A lot of like biblical on top of music, and we love that. We embrace our Hispanic culture. I'm Cuban by nature. I'm half Cuban, half Canadian, which is just a mess of an adventure. My former tag partner is half Cuban, and then my current tag partner is full Puerto Rican. So like very Latino, like hardcore Hispanics. I know I don't look like it, but
mate, I'll tell you this, I'm half Scottish, and yeah, I have to convince a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I have to convince a lot of people that. So would you say that yourself? I believe you. Don't worry.
Thank you. Hey, thank you. Yeah, so it's cool. Like we mix Hispanic culture, like demonology, like dark arts, and then music all into one.
Yeah.
Like Fest Wrestling has been probably my favorite thing. We worked for First Wrestling in Minnesota. That's ran by Eric Cannon. If you know who that is, he's like a legend of the Midwest.
Yeah.
And then like I mean, it's just a couple of like demon boys running around doing pro wrestling.
If you could pick, because I know you're quite a bit old school, and I feel like I can get a good answer from you. If you could pick one tag team for the Coda to wrestle, past or present, fantasy booking here. If you're talking about dream scenario, who do you think would be a good opponent for the Coda?
I've always been a huge Motor City Machine Gun fan. Like they're my favorite, like borderline current day. I don't know if you consider them current day still. I mean, I know they wrestle together randomly, but like that TNA run, like that 08, 09.
Evan Beer Money.
Them and Beer Money had some of the best matches. Hands down, that would be my dream tag team, because it would push me so far to a limit on like what I can do as other than that. Like I mean, the obvious answers are like Heart Foundation,
good answer.
New Age Outlaws. Like that was one of the teams that like made me love tag team wrestling, especially because how different but the same they were, like how their dynamics were. Like Billy's just this like, you know, like horny big giant dude, and then
athletic, and my dog's just
yeah, and Road Dogg looks like your dad.
But
like,
gift of the gab, he's prime my belly.
Oh my god,
Doesn't get talked enough.
Like he on a mic, I think Road Dogg is easily top 10 of that generation. Like everyone's so quick to be like
he's like
Austin, yeah, right, Austin, Rock, and then no one else matters, right? But like Road Dogg could talk circles around almost anyone else.
Has a crowd in the palm of his hands, just literally just a couple of lines. Yeah, oh, so good.
Like the way that if you smell la 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 la, put over the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like that was enough. Like we knew it, and it was like it wasn't just one line. Like Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass." It was this paragraph, and we all knew.
And he'd also, and then the entrance before, like, "Oh, you didn't know."
Yeah, like it was like a 2-minute segment that we all knew all the words to. It was like. It was wild. Like while other wrestlers were sitting there making like 2-3-word catchphrases, 5-word catchphrases, whatever. Austin's over here making what a big deal. Like just the word what.
I hate it when crowd chants it, man. Sorry, but I hate it. I think I tweeted it not long ago. It's like, I F you, Austin, for literally, it's 20 years later and the fans are still doing it and I can't stand it. But that's just me. Sorry.
No, that's fair. It's hard as a wrestler when people try to do that, but they can't catch on in the indies. Like for some reason, indie fans, if they want to do that, they'll do like 2 or 3 and then everyone falls off. And it's like, all right, we're done. Can I get back to talking? Cool. But like, yeah, Road Dogg was just a blessing to talk to. A few years ago, I ran into Billy. Like Billy was training kids in Orlando for a while. And then I think he trains up closer to Atlanta now. I don't know. But he was doing a couple shows that I was on, and everyone says this and no one believes it, but Billy Gunn is so much taller than you think. Like, no matter how tall you think Billy Gunn is, he's like 7 inches taller than that.
Does TV just not do him justice then?
TV does no justice for this. Like, I'm 6'1", and I was looking up to him the way that a kid looks up to their parent. Like, there was easily he has to be like 6'9". I don't know. I'm bad with measurements, but like, he's so freaking tall. Like, and I think that's like, I always say, like, that's why he was pushed. Like there was always these like random runs where they're like,
Rockabilly.
Yeah, where they just like push Billy Gunn. Let's push Billy for this title. Let's push Billy for that. Yeah. Like, because I think Vince would forget how big he is, and then he'd walk in and he'd be like, God damn, that's a big boy. Push him to the show. Make him the main event.
Make his trunks tighter.
He needs smaller pants.
Billy was underrated, man. I mean, I actually like seeing him in not NWA, AEW with his sons. Like, I think it's one of like my highlights now. Just them as heels, and it's just like there's so many Billies, and I love it.
With that whole like Ass Boys thing and him being like okay with his sons being called the Ass Boys, I've been wanting it to lead to them snapping on Billy, and then Road Dogg comes, because like he's been a free agent for like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 days, maybe 2 months of this.
As great as that would be, I have seen recent photos and videos of Road Dogg. I don't think the match is going to happen.
Nah. I mean, I would lose my
as a segment. Yes.
Oh yeah,
it'd be great.
Down. Yeah, I just I don't know. I would lose. My heart would explode. I would just be like, I'm done with wrestling forever now. It's been done. It's
done. Retiring. Thank you, everyone.
Retiring.
Done.
Hanging these tiny pants away.
Due to a segment, nothing to do with me, but just me being a fanboy. Love it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I can hope though. We can all dream.
No, that's quality, man. I'm going to end the show with one question. It's not necessarily best related, and I think you'll like it. And I like asking this because the answers are always different. What I ask is, I'm going to ask you now. If you could pick 3 guests for your dream dinner party, dead or alive, historical figures, it's entirely up to you, mate. You're the host. It's your dream dinner. It can be wrestling related if you really want it to be. I've had people select it just for that because I can't think off the top of the head. But it's up to you. If you can pick 3, and if you can give reasons as well as to why you've chosen these 3 for your dream dinner party.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, they're not going to connect very well, but They're definitely, it would be Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco, because he's literally my favorite vocalist of all time ever. Edgar Allan Poe, because he's just dark and spooky, and I've always like his aesthetic, like just means literally so much to me. I actually have a tattoo of him. And the third, which is a very wild card situation, but if you follow me on Twitter, you might know that I'm absolutely in love with Taylor Swift. So the third would be Taylor Swift, to mix the whole thing up. Just a giant.
It feels like no one's gonna have the bottle to mock you for that. I mean, like
Yeah.
she's got some great songs. I mean, like,
Oh my god, I mean, not to sound like a total fangirl, but Folklore is a near perfect record. So
the things you learn on this show. That's why I love doing it, man.
yeah.
Taylor Swift, finger popping.
Yeah.
Not Jerry Sags, Brian Knobspin. I can actually confirm with that. I met him at a convention in the UK in London, and he was hammered. So he was nice though. Jerry Sags, yeah, he was a prick, but I'm not gonna go into that story too much. Yeah, different
That's
story.
what I've heard.
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
One time, just a quick little fun story to
go for it, man. Share.
Showed up to camp one day, and it was Knobs was there. It was a Saturday morning camp. Knobs was there. Our other trainer Steve was there, and I show up, and that's it. No one else is there. And I'm like, well, are we gonna train or what? And he goes, no, you're gonna take us to Applebee's and get me drunk. So we went to Applebee's, and this man slammed like $75 worth of 2-for-1 Bud Lights. It was something. It was a good time though.
Great coach, mate. Forget Miyagi, mate. Like
I mean, he gave me so much information. The drunker and drunker he got, so it's cool hearing these old road stories from him.
Yeah, I can imagine that being great though. Yeah.
So like it was cool as a fan. It was like I was like absorbing what was like a 2-hour version of like a Comic-Con panel of him just telling these wild stories and then ordering more drinks. And so it was a good time though.
Oh, that's sweet, man. Actually, there's one more question, and it's just relating to, actually, it sort of highlights everything we've discussed. I think I want to know, because of all the trainers and the experience that you've received in your wrestling career, what is, if you could think at the top of your head, has been the best advice you've been given in wrestling that you would pass on to an upcoming wrestler?
Trying to think, because I talk to a lot of like the younger wrestlers when I have chance and kind of like work with them. I mean, obviously, like learn as much as you can from who you can, because you can learn something from everyone you meet in wrestling, whether it's what not to do or what to do. Not to ever let yourself get torn down by somebody who is greener in this business doing more than you, because you're doing more than somebody else, period. Regardless, like there's people who have been in this business 1 year and are killing it right now, like Kid Bandit, who is like huge in this business right now, like massively over on Twitter.
Constantly pops up my news feed, constantly.
Right? Kid Bandit is fantastic and just keeps like getting better. Amaris Blair, who is a new friend of mine, she just hit her 1-year anniversary in wrestling, and she has been like all over the South. She was in Texas for Mania Week, wrestling some there. She was in Tampa just a few months ago. Like there's some people who are like so young in this business are really killing it, and it kind of is depressing to people who've only been wrestling for like 5 years or so. But like what I keep telling them is that you in that 5 years, you've probably done more than a lot of these 20-year vets. And I use like air quotes over top of vets really hard. But there's always someone who is doing less than you. So stop focusing on who's doing more and focus on what you're doing to make yourself better, and to get yourself out there. And also, I think like a little third piece is invest in yourself when it comes to merchandise and stuff. Like everyone has a Pro Wrestling Tees website, and that's great. Anyone all over the world can buy your t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/you. But at shows, the only way you're getting home is your payday and your merch money. So like get some t-shirts printed, get some stickers, get trading cards printed. I just started this thing with a couple of my friends. I'm calling it Slim Card Revolution.
Yeah, I noticed that. They look pretty cool, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like a different way of having trading cards that's more affordable for everybody across the board. I'm starting like the first line. It's gonna be about 30 people. Still taking on friends that want to do it and wrestlers that want to do it. But the only difference is they're half an inch thinner than regular trading cards. I have both at my merch table. My regular trading cards were made by the awesome people at Cards Subject to Change, which is Anthony Greene and a couple other people. They made those for me, but I have a huge box of my slim cards. So yeah, something different, but it's a different way of reaching fans. Merchandise is like so key in pro wrestling when it comes to paying your way back home or paying for Applebee's afterwards or whatever you want to get on your way home. So merchandise, not everyone has $20 for a t-shirt, but everybody's got $1 or $2 for a slim trading card or a sticker or a button. So yeah.
Oh man, obviously I think anyone that is listening to that is interested to get the business, got a notepad, honestly make a note of that. I mean, as a fan, I mean, it's not necessarily something I thought about until Cock Banner, his podcast, and seeing his journey and the real importance of merchandise and selling yourself on the independent scene. So for you to say that as well, someone that has had a long career as well, where can the listeners and the watchers, because this is also on YouTube, find you on social media?
You can find me at Music City KG on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And if you have a nice luscious beard like me and you're looking to take and make that pretty and smell good, you can check out my beard oil line. It's called La Barba Cubano. It's la-barba.com.
Awesome, man. You're a man of many businesses.
I like to dabble. I'm a dabbler. I like to dabble in things.
I sweat that, man. Wheeling dealing, man. That's awesome. But no, thank you for coming on, man. It's been a good chat. For everyone that has watched and listened to this episode, thank you. There's going to be more episodes coming out next week. If you follow my social media, you'll see who I've got lined up. So stay tuned. If you can, please like, subscribe, share the content. It helps me get more guests like Kayden on the show. We have fun conversations, maybe go Applebee's one day from in America. You can pay for that though. No, I'm joking. But yeah, but I'm not joking. But for everyone that's enjoyed this episode, thank you. And I want everyone to have a good weekend and take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from my next guest.
The CCW World Heavyweight Champion, the greatness himself, Darion Drummond,
is going to be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast. You heard.